there is a spotlight session by Ms. Simran Channey, AVP Brand Solutions, Viacom18 Sports. I would like to welcome the gorgeous lady on stage to talk about India's digital revolution with JioCinema. Please welcome Ms. Simran Channey. May I request Ms. Simran to kindly join us on stage? Oh, hi. How are you? Absolutely. The stage is all yours.
Hi, everybody. My name is Simran and I'm very, very excited to be here today. What I want to talk to you about today is obviously my favorite topic and the favorite topic of nearly everybody in India. You really have to be hiding under a rock for the last 15 years to, not know what, we want to talk about. It's that time of the year again. IPL is just about 5 weeks away. So just want to take some of your time, to talk to you a little bit about what JioCinema's journey has been, on the IPL, what it looked like for us last year, and what do we have in store for you, not just as a consumer of the tournament, but also as, advertisers, brand planners, brand custodians in terms of how can you really leverage our platform and the scale of IPL to drive super high results for your brand. So without further ado, I'm just going to start, dive in. And like she said, at any point in time, if you have questions, do note them down. I'm happy to, shed some more light, outside. I'm going to be here for some time. So first up, right, I think this statement actually, holds very true for all of us at JioCinema, and that's the reason why we've actually put that up as our first slide. And a lot of us in the room will also sort of relate with this statement. I'm sure all of us have memories of, moving from our first Nokia phones to a BlackBerry device, and then suddenly moving from our BlackBerry device to, iPhones or an Android, a super high-end Android phone, right? And that's the beauty of technology, that it comes in and changes your life overnight. And something similar really happened for us as an organization as well, sometime in late 2022. Before 2022, actually, JioCinema didn't really have an identity as a sports platform. We acquired the rights to FIFA, and FIFA then became the first big sort of tournament that we were streaming live. I'm sure a lot of you saw it on the platform. And immediately on the heels of FIFA, we had IPL 2023. And since then, our team has gone ahead and acquired a lot of other sports content. I'm going to touch upon very little bit on that. So as far as we are concerned, I think this statement holds very true, because within a span of about 18 months, we've now become the largest sports OTT platform in the country, and actually the largest sports platform, not just OTT, but the largest sports platform in the country. And while that was a statement from our point of view, even in our own lives, I think we're seeing how rapidly things are changing with respect to digital connectivity and our use of digital products, right? I think we can't imagine our lives without this. And if we were all sitting about 9 years ago in 2015 and having this conversation and saying that we possibly could walk out of our house today with just our phone without having access to our card or whatever, and still, nothing would happen, we would not believe it. But things like UPI, things like universal ID, mobile penetration in the country, thanks to Jio Telecom really taking it deep, has changed all of our lives. So this leads us to believe that actually a very big revolution is happening in the content consumption landscape as well. And when we speak about the revolution, I think the property that's going to be spearheading this is going to be the IPL, which brings us to what our ambition for IPL 2024 is. So on IPL 2024, we are actually looking at an estimated platform reach of about 650 million users across our platforms. And you'll hear me say across our platforms a few times today. What I mean by across platforms is that users who access the IPL either on the handheld device or on the iPad or web, laptop, or on the connected TV screens. And we'll speak a little bit more about connected TV, in this session, because for us, that's been one big growth story that's emerged out of IPL 2023. So while this is our number that, we're looking at going into the season, this was a story for us last year, right? So especially when you look at 650 million against the 450 odd million base of last year, the ambition actually suddenly does not seem so steep. right? And interestingly, actually, the 449 million reach on the platform that we had last year was a huge jump from what IPL on digital had been the previous years. And a big reason for that jump, of course, was the strategic shift that we took. We decided to make IPL streaming free across platforms for all users anywhere in the country, right? So you could be sitting out of anywhere, watching on your phone or on your connected TV. IPL was free for you. And in a country where I think cricket is not just an obsession, but actually a religion, I consider myself to be a very religious person thanks to my love for cricket. In a country like that, making a tournament like IPL where there's just so much positive sentiment attached, this is the result of, doing something like that, right? So one is that we made IPL streaming free for everybody. The second big punt you can say that we took was that we actually streamed IPL live in 12 different languages. India is a unique country, I think about 22 official languages are spoken in the country. And we had 12 of them represented on our platform. Some of you may actually remember our Punjabi feed and our Bhojpuri feed, which had Ravi Kisan, for example. They really went viral, right? Like people were listening to those feeds and, taking clips and sharing memes, etc. So, the feeds actually became a bigger cultural moment for us. And also what was interesting for us was that, this audience was actually previously completely underserved, right? Like, you would know कि हाँ cricket सब समझते हैं, but no one could consume cricket in a Odia language before we actually started the Odia feed, or in Punjabi or in Bhojpuri. In fact, this year we will be having Haryanvi as a language that we are adding to our selection of languages. So all of this put together, of course, helped us add to the scale of 450 million users on IPL last year. And while this was a story at a larger level, how can we pivot from the content point of view? How can we, deploy a pivot on pricing? To what can we do to, also engage with probably the more tech-savvy consumers in the country? I think India now has a very, very fast-growing population of tech early adopters, what we like to call. These are users actually who use a lot of technology-rich features on the platform. So in the past, if you watch cricket, and if you were a cricket fanatic like most of us, you would probably be watching on your phone, and then, you'd keep getting out and, watching the statistics on maybe a CricBuzz, for example, right? What we did was that we brought in the interface of something like that within the app. So you actually had no reason to leave the app anymore. You could actually consume a lot of statistics, analysis, etc. while you were in the app ecosystem. We had multi-camera feeds as an option for viewers. What this means is, especially the stump cam, which is my favorite example, and I would keep shifting the stump cam very often, especially in CSK matches, is in the hope to be able to hear Dhoni give some, instruction to the bowler at the other side, right? Like all of us also, as lovers of the game want to watch that, and a lot of times the stump cam would somehow, catch that audio as well. So, really sort of thinking through about the romance of the game and bringing that into a technological feature is something that we did. And all of these innovations actually were used by about 100 million, users. And one would think that, a feature like this would probably be for a very niche audience, but 100 million is not niche by any standard, right? So very big adoption of technology. We had our own game called Jeeto Dhan Dhan, and for users who were watching the game on the phone, they could play an interactive game on the app. We were giving away a car every day as a grand prize. And people from all over the country, right from Assam to Kerala, won a car every single day. We had over 50 million people participating in this game, making this the largest ever live sporting game in the world. There actually isn't another example of this kind anywhere else in the world. And all of this put together, the game, the technological features, the multiple languages, all of that put together actually resulted in users spending more time while consuming the match. In the past, average time spent watching a match would be somewhere about, 45, 46 minutes. But a combination of all of these things, plus, of course, keeping it free, made sure that users are actually now spending more time consuming IPL on the platform. And obviously, a number like 70 minutes tells you that nobody is really now watching this on digital as an on-the-go thing, you know. I mean, who is traveling for 70 minutes to really just, you know, consume it on your on-the-go device? This gives us the confidence to say that digital platforms like JioCinema are now becoming the primary platform for people to consume a premium tournament like IPL. And while this was all, you know, on the handheld device, the big story that emerged for us, like I mentioned earlier as well, was, you know, the growth that we saw in the connected TV ecosystem. I think most of us in the room here will probably have a connected TV device at home. You know, we probably consume more content on OTT and aren't really, you know, using our set-top boxes. Or most of us, actually, I have, you know, shut off my set-top box connection since a lot of years now. You know, so we actually saw a very big explosion of connected TV adoption happen during IPL. One big reason here for us was that we introduced something called, you can see it on my first, you know, screenshot. We introduced something called the Asli 4K feed, which essentially was streaming the match in 4K resolution the whole time. And this was, again, a global first. There has been no other tournament in the world which has actually been streamed in 4K resolution. We actually had to make a lot of investments in our technology to ensure that we can have this kind of an output. And, you know, I think the thing that happened from a consumer standpoint is that the experience of watching the match in that sort of a beautiful, you know, resolution was just so engaging that even this led to, you know, a lot of time spent. So in fact, on connected TV, our average time spent was about 85 minutes per match, which is actually higher than HD TV numbers as well. So all of this put together, you know, I mean, our deep distribution, 4K, Asli 4K feed, etc., led to, like I mentioned, an explosion on CTV numbers. Just want to give you highlights of the numbers. So IPL 2023 reach on connected TV was 29 million devices. That actually equals about 126 million users that consumed IPL on connected TV devices. So while this was a story thus far, you know, how do we top this, right? How do we get to the 650 million number? And what can we do to actually make the viewing experience a little bit better? So I'll touch upon that a little bit. For us, you know, our ambition this time is how do we make Indian Premier League on JioCinema a league for every single Indian. So to that regard, you know, we have a few things planned in terms of reach maximization, and then a few things planned in terms of how do we improve the viewing experience itself. So on reach maximization, couple of, you know, there are a few things that we are doing. The first one being, all of us know, you know, mobile internet connectivity, the numbers are, you know, meant to reach about 900 million in the coming year. We've got a significant play here now with the JioBharat phone, which is a 4G enabled feature phone that was introduced around Diwali last year. It's a 999 rupee device. In fact, the India-England series is currently streaming live on that phone. And, you know, one would think that how do you have a live cricket stream happening on a smaller phone with a smaller device? But we are actually seeing some really, really good initial adoption numbers on this. We are also converting our app UI into multiple languages. So this is basically taking our whole insight into serving people for IPL in different languages to the next level. So far, if you go to JioCinema, the app is in English. You know, but there are so many people in India who actually don't read English, right? They probably read Hindi or they probably read some other mother tongue. So our effort is to actually make the app interface also multilingual so that we don't alienate these users as well. And how do we use our strength of the Jio Air Fiber connectivity and the Airtel Extreme Air Fiber connectivity to ensure that we get to, you know, a large chunk of the universe of CTV users, which is pegged to be about 200 million users in 2024. On the connected TV explosion piece, our big story for the upcoming year and what you can expect is, you know, a significant push towards the adoption of 4K. And here is where the Jio Air Fiber piece comes into place, you know, to ensure that not only do people have a high-end device, but also a high-end broadband connection for them to be able to stream the 3.5 hour long match in a 4K resolution. At least from last year, the sense we got is that consumers consuming the tournament on 4K were actually, or rather are, you know, the more affluent set in India. So working closely with us, especially on campaigns which are targeted to India's elite, 4K is a really good sort of a signal that you can take for planning such a campaign. So like I mentioned, I mean, building brand affinity on the 4K device, actually, we're looking at about to reach 40 million users in the upcoming season of IPL, which is an 80% jump from last year. So significant jump is being expected. And on JioBharat, like I mentioned, we will be opening up, playing ads during the live stream. I don't need to explain the concept of ads during a cricket match. All of us know there are breaks between every over, and then there are ads that play in that over, right? The good thing with JioBharat is that, this probably is an incremental audience that you couldn't reach out to any other way in the past, right? These are guys who are buying a phone which is a 999 device to a 1500 rupee device, probably coming from tier 3, tier 4 markets, have a passion for the sport and want to watch the sport. These devices actually come with UPI Lite already preloaded. So you know that these people have transacting capability. So, how can you work with us, especially on campaigns where you want to drive a high level of awareness for smaller value products? You can work with us on the JioBharat stream. And coming to what do we have, so while this was a story from a consumer lens, what all can you expect? From an advertiser lens, there are a few things that we have in the planning in the upcoming season, which we think should excite a lot of advertisers and brands. So the first piece in this is, we want to actually try and recreate the whole Super Bowl kind of experience for our advertisers where, all of you probably know Super Bowl just happened the past weekend, right? And there was just so much conversation about the Uber Eats ad, the Dunkin' Donuts ad, there's so much conversation that happens around Super Bowl. And IPL actually is a perfect opportunity for brands to kind of look to replicate the same, right? Because what is it? It's actually a tournament that attracts a lot of eyeballs. And how can you ensure that you debut a creative that will be very talked about? So to that objective, we want to work with brands on something called JioCinema Brand Spotlight. Essentially, what we are planning this year on IPL is that for the first 5 overs of the opening game, there will be one ad that will play in each of those 5 over breaks. And that ad will be for a brand which is, debuting a new creative, right? And this ad is going to play as a spot across all devices. And I think we all know the power of a simulcast kind of a thing for an ad, right? Because the minute everybody sees one creative at the same time, we all know IPL opening game, everybody's going to be tuning in, to watch the match. The point of everyone watching the same creative at the same point also means that there will be that many more tweets, that many more conversations online, that much more earned media for your campaign, which you otherwise would have had to spend a lot of money to generate, right? So this is an opportunity that we're opening up to advertisers this year, which is a big one for us. And the way you have to think about it is, we've just done like a basic visualization, but the way you can think about this is that, the 35 to 40 second over break will actually begin with an animation which will say that the JioCinema Spotlight is now on brand X. There can be like a, 10-second message from your brand CMO, from your custodian, saying that, we are debuting this commercial today and we are very excited for you to see it for the first time, followed by the ad. So really sort of giving it, that pedestal, that sort of super premium pegging for people to, get talking about it. Coupled with a lot of initial PR, a lot of nudges on the platform. So before the ad appears, there will be, display assets on the platform which will say that look forward to this ad in the upcoming over, etc. And not just driving a lot of buzz on the opening day. Another thing that we've noticed about, creatives which get talked about a lot, and I think this is something to do with how brands are now reviewing their own creative strategy, is that it's no longer about just that one TVC or that one creative, that everybody wants to talk about, right? Ancillary content is also now growing at a very fast pace. In fact, when you look at the Dunkin' Donuts example, while, the Ben Affleck J-Lo ad was very, very spoken about, the content which actually went super viral was a 5-minute clip, featuring Ben Affleck that they then released on YouTube later, right? So video on demand, content actually gives a lot of legs to your campaign. And what we plan to do with brands who partner with us on the Brand Spotlight is give them a permanent real estate on our platform where a lot of the ancillary content behind the commercial, interviews with the actors, interviews with the creative team, etc., can reside on the platform for consumption throughout the series. What this does is that in those 54 days of IPL, of course, we have super high reach, right? Very, very high footfalls onto the platform. So this really gives you that access to, ensure that your campaign and even the ancillary content actually reaches out to everyone. So that's that's one big innovation. The next big innovation, and we are very excited about this, is that really this question, what if we told you that you could have your own IPL stream? And let me put this in the context of television. In the past, to say that have your own IPL stream meant having to launch your own TV channel. And we all know that that's virtually impossible. But thanks to technology, this is now possible, right? We can actually create a separate stream which is targeted to a certain cohort and ensure that that cohort is consuming that content, right? So to this one, our thought is, how do we work closely with clients and with advertisers to ensure that we can create a super custom experience for their stakeholders, their customers, and their consumers? And you can think of it a little bit like this. So basically how this will work is, we visualize this for a brand like a royal stag. So if somebody logs on to JioCinema while the match is on, the first style that you can see, it could be, say, for example, a royal stag live at large corner, right? So a consumer knows upfront and center that we are prompting the consumer to try out the royal stag live at large corner. So a lot of nudges built onto the platform. Once somebody has gotten curious enough, clicked on that, wants to see, okay, what is this about? What are they talking about? Click on that and want to go to that feed. There'll be a lot of nudges again to drive a lot of branding for the clients. So something to the tune of, you are now watching this stream, will appear on the screen before they start watching the match. And even in the match environment, a lot of the conversation that we do, in our pre-show, in our mid-show, actually can be tailor-made to the brand, right? A lot of times what we hear from clients is that I only have a 20-second opportunity to run my creative, and how much of storytelling can you do in that, right? I have 10 features that I want to talk about, but 20 seconds only allow me to give my tagline and maybe, some humorous bit to it. But working with us on something like this actually gives you the possibility of doing a lot more, detailed storytelling, going very in-depth and bringing alive a lot of the product features, emotional benefits of your brand, which you otherwise would have not been able to. Aside from that, you can also run a lot of custom contests only on this stream, right? So once somebody participates in this contest, you know that these people are only coming in from this stream, so in that sense, they are really just your consumer. Finally, on this one, we're also opening up an opportunity to, mount a large marketing campaign. If you partner with us on a custom feed, we're happy to share image rights, etc., to say that how can we do a big campaign which says that JioCinema and the brand are coming together to create this feed, right? So, think of it this way. A Coca-Cola could have a happiness feed, a Royal Enfield could have an adventure feed, your brand, if your brand is a D2C brand, it could have that kind of a pegging done, right? So for the first time ever, this is a very, very big idea. We are very excited about this, and hopefully, you'll see a few of these interesting ones happen with us this season. Excuse me. And coming to, while these are two big, large ideas for, driving activation around the IPL, a host of other enhancements to our regular ad assets as well. One big piece that we are unlocking this season is, 100+ cohorts for targeting. Whether it is geo clusters, whether it is device price, if you're looking to reach out to only a premium audience, we have device price targeting. If you're looking to reach out to only top 6 metros, only certain states, only certain interests. So say, for example, if you're looking to reach out to only somebody who's an online shopper versus only somebody who's a fantasy game player, right? All of these different cohorts are now going to be possible on IPL on JioCinema. And the way to reach out, of course, to these cohorts is to work with us closely to see what is the right media mix for your campaign, right? If you want to drive a very high impact, a masthead, for example, could be a good one for you to drive high impact. If you want to drive very, very high awareness, ad products like a mid-roll with carousel, where you really get to show a lot of products in that 15-20 second mid-roll duration can work well. You want to drive reach very efficiently, display assets on the platform can work well. So what we've done is that we've really thought through, what problem for the brand or what business objective can the ad asset solve for. Of course, our pre-show, which has been super popular last year, Match Center Live, is up for partnership this season as well. a lot of you would recollect, we actually did a very fun activation last year when Backstreet Boys were in India. Brett Lee, Anil Kumble, etc. actually dressed up like the Backstreet Boys. That kind of went viral. So a lot of fun and a lot of insights into cricket happens on this show as well. And you can partner with us to drive very high visibility for your brand on this show. Working with us, I think you have to think of JioCinema also as a platform which has the best access to sporting talent, right? Across our multiple language feeds, we are working with the top cricket legends in the country with over 140, cricket names, right? So really, if you want to build a campaign which has some social media legs to it, a lot of advertisers today, want to not just work with us on creating buzz on our own platform, but want to see conversations happen outside of our platform as well. And the best way for you to see these conversations is to actually work with us and activate, the talent that we have in-house. And finally, just want to, kind of leave this at a high level with you. This is kind of like a revision of a lot of things that I said. So whether it is, whether the objective is driving awareness or, moving consideration, or even slightly lower funnel coming into, driving intent, we've thought of ad products that can address each of these things. And in fact, on the intent and action piece, we've got a few new innovations that we are launching this year. I don't want to bore you too much about this because a lot of this is very, very, media jargon heavy. But really what we've done this season is, try to enhance whatever we can from an ad tech point of view, whether it is targeting, whether it is an ad format, really try and see how we can work with a wide variety of brands to help them meet their goals. So yeah, that, there is, this is the final slide. There is a revolution happening, and as of today, there are like less than 30 days left for, the tournament. I mean, the date is not out yet, but, in all likelihood, March last week is when it's going to be starting. So, if you have any plans about activating a brand or being present on the tournament, happy to connect with you, outside and share more thoughts. Thank you.
So thank you so much to the gorgeous lady out here who just did a wonderful session. Please come in the center. You have to be in the center right now. I was actually so engrossed there, and I was listening to each and every point you were discussing, being into the sports industry and into sports presenting as well. So I was keenly interested in knowing all the things that you were sharing. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. And may I request all of you to please give a huge round of applause to Ms. Channey, and I would kindly request Mr. Anil Manwari to come on the stage to felicitate Ms. Simran and give her a certificate of appreciation as a token of love and thanks to her. So our gratitude to you for presenting the session so very well. Thank you so much for joining us for the day, and a thunderous round of applause once again to the beautiful lady.